Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. We are back here with your favorite content from this channel. Since I already talked about some upcoming patch from Elsword in my last video, let's cut to the chase and start with the character review, shall we? But before we start, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and join my Discord community, where you can find updates and game discussion with other subscribers from this channel. And most importantly, click that subscribe button so you don't miss out any of my updates. Without further ado, let's dive into today's character, Ain. Ain is a holy servant sent by the goddess to help restoring the power of El. Ain was once a loyal servant of the goddess, but his encounter with Elsword's party changed everything. The joy and happiness he experienced with them made him question his loyalty to the goddess, and he eventually joined the party and fight alongside them. It's inspiring to see his journey from a loyal servant to a trusty ally, using his holy power to restore the power of El. Looks like Ain is falling for the Helmantine, eh? Let's take a closer look at Ain's unique power system. With power system, Ain can switch between Psycho mode and Creation mode by pressing the V key. Each mode provides different buffs and effects. Psycho mode helps with resource management, while Creation mode focuses on dealing damage. When their authority gauge is full, Ain can activate the power mode, which enhances his abilities. Additionally, Ain has an awakening system unique to his character. Unlike other characters, Ain has 3 stages of awakening, and the more stages he has, the more power he gains. Not only does his power increase with each stage, but his appearance also changes. It's fascinating to see the evolution of Ain's power throughout his awakening stages. Let's dive into Ain's first path, Richter. Ain chooses to continue the mission assigned by the goddess. By utilizing his power of creation and a powerful divine weapon, he brings judgment to those who are against the word order and the goddess. Wait a minute, create and projection magic? Sounds familiar. Richter is simple yet powerful. His shell passive amplifies the buffs from creation mode. He has excellent linear and range clearing abilities, and his skill speed scaling makes his skills casting quite smooth. However, his skill doesn't curve with maps, making it challenging to clear curvy dungeons. Richter kits work great on large bosses. Small mobs and bossing can be a problem for him. Fortunately, his passive triggers CDR when using projection skills, allow him to keep throwing projection weapons, even if his major damaging skills only deal 1/3 of the damage towards small boss. And let's be honest, who doesn't love continuously throwing all those lances and swords? With the self-buff he gains while skill spamming, you never go wrong with Richter when it comes to boss slaying. Interestingly, he deals extra damage toward mobs under frozen status, which makes freezer and freezing very important for him during raiding. However, when it comes to support, he doesn't have much to offer. Max HP MP buff is nice, but won't make him the go-to support for the party. He still has his freezing skills from the base job, and might be able to chain freeze with water offs, since he will be the damage dealer for most parties. In general, R is a great class for general clearing and bossing. You'll have so much done with him for dailies for sure. He has great self-buff and passive that allows him to continuously spam skills. He's a smooth caster for sure, and has great damage against large mobs. However, you will still want to have more CDR and action speed as much as possible, since his damage directly reflects some of that. Ideally, you'll want to cast as few filler skills as possible, and micromanaging your self-buff and skill rotation to optimize your damage, while facing small mobs is a concern for him for sure. And his lacking of support abilities make him not very party welcoming unless you're the DPS yourself. Overall, if you're looking for a class that projects thousands of sword and lances with holy magic, Richter is the way to go for sure. Second path, Bluhen. BL is the canon path of Ain in the main story of Elsword. He's not just a loyal servant of the goddess, but he also uses the power of the goddess to protect people with his free will. I personally think that Bluhen system is one of the most complex one in game, which can have a big learning curve and may pull off many players. However, if you manage to learn and understand his minigame system, BL is one of the most entertaining class in the game. To go over the detail of his system, a brief review section is not enough. Thankfully, my friend made this brilliant guide for BL, which I will link down below in the description. Highly recommend to check it out if you want to play BL. So once you manage to understand Bluhen's system, clearing is easy for him. His skill kit actually has decent ranges, and you just need to know which color to use in different settings of the dungeons. When it comes to bossing, he's really not bad at all. Some may say, oh, I don't see him doing much damage in raids, but that's because BL is being a pro support and rotating between colors, trying to optimize the party's damage while keeping you alive. BL kit is not really designed for damage dealing anyways, since his casting speed is not as smooth as other Ains. Also, percentage is not that high. But when it comes to support, BL is one of the top tier support in the game right now, especially for magical parties. He has damage amplifiers, mob debuffs, and cooldown accelerations. He is a healer that scales with CP, and if Bluhen only focused on healing, he will be the top 1 healer for sure, since his healing skills can stack together multiple times. Being able to use Yellow Adele only just the baby step of being a Bluhen. Eventually, you want to rotate all effects and give them all to the party. He also has the most freezing skills among all of the characters, which makes him a great chain freezer. Meta-wise, BL has great resources while under yellow mode, and BL passive is optimizing the cycle power from his base system, making your CD quite low while skill spamming. However, since your healing fully depends on CP build, you might still suffer a bit if under 1.6 million CP. So, Bluhen is one of the top tier support in the game for sure. With one of the most interesting systems in the game, it is very satisfying to play once you mastered it, and his very welcoming support for raids. His utility can benefit both parties, but more on magical parties for sure. He is a very self-responsible and sustainable if you have high CPs. But Bluhen has a huge learning curve, and CP scaling make him not very new player friendly. And since BL needs a lot of action speed and CDR, it also makes CP scaling slightly harder on him, since though stat is not the greatest for CP scaling. Rotation colors on BL is not something that you can learn in 2 hours. It takes a lot of practice and communication to your party in order to optimize your buffs. Overall, BL is one of my favorite support in the current game. His minigame system is just something else, and I honestly don't think there is other class will have more interesting system than his. Third path. HR is a path where Ain questions his own existence, thinking he's just a puppet that would be abandoned once he's finished the mission assigned by the goddess. Ain eventually completely lost faith in the goddess after seeing the El corrupted, and the goddess finally abandoned him. He became united with the void as he saw that everything continues to meet their ends. Therefore, he became the end himself. In his path, HR also known as his ASMR voice, which is very sexy. Herrsher has his high and lows over the years, but after all these recent updates, he remains a good DPS class. He has several nice self-buff from his kit and passives, and many excellent AoE clearing skills with decent range. His clearing ability is good on all kind of dungeons. When it comes to bossing, Herrsher kits is also handy, with most of his skills not requiring mob sizes to scale for max damage, making him great for facing all size mobs. However, it won't have that burst damage towards last size mobs. It is important to note that HR highly requires skill rotation for its passive. Wherever third skill is cast has an extra 15% damage. Managing the skills order is critical if you want to master this class. HR has some nice passive skill for mana resources, but due to his CDR passive, the demand for mana is still higher than the supply from the refund mana. This makes him slightly better than Alright, but still a mana chugger. As for support, it's just like any other DPS classes, with not much to offer since his skill is more of a self-buff kind. Overall, Herrsher is a class that performs well on dailies and raids, with decent self-buff and CDL passive, makes it versatile in all kinds of modes. It's more player-friendly now due to the recent patches and adjustment to this kit, but it still requires a lot of ERP build on CD and mana in order to achieve the full potential. Due to his seemingly simple but yet complex system and high ERP requirement, many Ain players switched to the other paths before reaching their true potential and moved on. He's also not too fun to enjoy while leveling up in early games. Well, HR is an underestimated class for sure. His in-game design and voiceover are top tier without a doubt, but it would be great if the KOG decide to give some more love to his kid. And I also highly suggest you to try out this class, and you will know what I mean. For Path, Bigott, Opferung. BG is a path where Ain has similar starting point as the first path, but he accidentally got his holy power contaminated during a mission, making his connection with the goddess weaker and weaker. However, as a loyal servant, he still tried his best to accomplish the mission of restoring the elf power assigned by the goddess. And unfortunately, he never heard back from the goddess ever again even though the mission is finished. He started to become furious and doubt his fate towards the goddess. But he still doesn't lose the faith in her. He became a bigot and tries to gain the goddess' attention back by destroying her symbols and temples. I really like how they give this class a perfect fit class name, but somewhat it got swiped to Opferung upon release. That's why I still like to call him BG instead. And also Ain, you should really switch up your phone courier to have better connection for reaching mommy, instead of burning the whole place down. BG is great at clearing mobs. His kit is designed for clearing, with a decent range and awesome casting speed. Clearing with him is a pure satisfaction, and it's quite fun to play with his balancing system, where you can micromanage to gain buff for self and parties. However, when it comes to bossing, he's kind of disappointing. I originally thought his kit scales nicely with boss sizes. It is just medium on bossing in general. His skills percentage is not as high, which I understand since KOG wants to make him a sub-damage dealer buffer. But the really pulling point is one of the major flaws in his kit. He is having major cooldown issues, even with all CDA buffs from his kit. If you pay attention to all other Ains, you realize all three of them have a built-in CDL passive. I'm not sure why BG didn't get one similar, but instead just got CDA, which make him struggle a bit when bossing, since you have nothing to use when everything under CD. Here, you can see in this clip that our parties have 2.5 CDA providers, but yet my friend here still faces around 1 second of all skills downtime. That's horrible. I think some buff into his CD is really necessary. And after all the skill spamming, not just all your skills go into CD, but your mana bar is always half empty, making him not very enjoyable for new players. With that being said, his party buff is still solid. Physical damage buff, party CDA, awakening, mana recovery, and polar damage buffs. Defense debuff towards mob from his hyperactive and master skills. A solid damage amplifier for physical parties. It might not be the best, but still a qualified as sub-damage. So BG is the class that has great clearing. His passive is a fun one to maintain during the time in dungeons. A good damage amplifier, and a qualified as sub-damage class. But he has a major issue on skill cooldown, which directly affect the experience when dealing damage, putting him in an awkward position among all Ains. If Bigott gets some more love from the balanced team, this class would be much more relevant. But right now, he can replace with other sub-DPS classes easily. And not to mention, his resource dimension is quite bad in the current state. I really hope he will get some more adjustment in the future, and not let this awesome looking class left behind. Well, that's it. That's the review of all current paths of Ain's journey. Ain might not be the most popular character in the game, but you can't deny that he is the prettiest boy in this game. And his model is always stunning. That's why I always invest some fashion items towards him. My game is not as strong as all the Ain mains who provide so much help for this video. A big shout out to them. And before you go, please hit the like and share button if you enjoyed this video. Also, subscribe so you won't miss out on my latest updates. And I will catch you all on the next one. See you soon!